Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Small Business 101 here on R You.
Yes, and we have actually a really good episode today, right? I know I start every episode by saying we have a great episode today.
Yep.
I don't always believe that actually, but this one I actually do believe this is a great episode.
Spencer's been talking about this for an hour.
Yes. Well, obviously any topic related to sales is my favorite topic. And this one obviously relates to sales. Emily here, when she presented it, you can't see her, but I just pointed at her. When she presented it, I love the topic. It's basically how human behavior affects sales, right?
Yep.
Would you agree that's what it's about? Okay. So, basically, what Emily has put together here is that human beings fear losing more than they want to win. Does that seem right? No?
Kind of. It says people want to avoid loss more than gain pleasure.
Yeah.
Also known as the loss aversion tendency.
Very good. So, in a scenario, right, for example, we kind of say on the sales thing, like everyone's first instinct is to say no, right? Like, say no, I'm not interested, I don't want to try something different or whatever.
Right.
So that's just kind of everyone's first instinct. And on top of that, we talk very differently to someone in operations than we do someone in compliance because they all have very different concerns, right? So I think one of the things Emily talks about is like, if you can make that operations person look good, they're more likely to go along with it, right? So they need to see that value in there. So from an operations standpoint, we talk about the no 3-second pause and how that affects customers because they're dropping, or consumers because they're hanging up on that call. Versus when we're talking to someone in compliance, we would talk about the compliance efficacy of that 3-second pause and how that relates to generating a TCPA lawsuit.
Right.
So each conversation is done in a very, very different way based off of who you're talking to.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it really just goes in, and the loss aversion tendency, it kind of confirms something that I guess a lot of sales people already know, but how it's a lot harder to switch somebody off of a current provider than it would be to sign somebody up on something if they're not using any product like that already.
Like when we talk to someone who says they just like pick up the phone and manual dial, it's our favorite call ever. Those are the calls we want 'cause it's like perfect. Versus, I use a competitor, and it's like, because you gotta explain to them why you're better than the competitor, and that sales process is a lot longer versus someone who's literally just going to start from scratch and kind of be blown away by the advantage.
It says, I mean, basically, people are more likely to stick to existing solutions rather than risk losing what they have, switching over to someone else, because it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, people don't understand, like we always say the horse and buggy analogy, right? The world was riding around on horse and buggies and didn't have a problem with it until cars came along, right? So even though a car's a better way to get around, there's probably people who like, I love my horse and buggy, I'm not switching it, right? Just because you're comfortable in that kind of mode and it's working for you.
Right.
It's getting you from A to B, but it might take you 12 hours to get 5 miles.
Right. Yeah.
Versus in the Ferrari, you just and you're there.
Yeah. Or what's another human behavior here that can help us save?
Well, kind of what we're talking about is humans are motivated by self-interest above all, right? So the logic behind that is going back to like our if you're talking to like an operations manager, right? They want to know how this is going to benefit them personally. Not that operation managers have this in mind, but how this is going to benefit them before it's how it's going to benefit the company, right?
Whoever you're selling to, whoever's making the decision to buy,
is a human being.
You make sure that they know how this is going to make their life easier.
Yes.
Above all, and they'll probably be more likely to buy it from you.
Yeah, and they're going to be more likely to push you through that process. Do you know what I mean? So like
they'll be on your side the whole way.
They're what we call influencers in the game.
Yeah.
So they're more likely to influence an outcome, and especially if you can align it with their human interest or self-interest, I should say, they're more likely to help you.
Yep.
Does that seem right, Emily? Did I gather the synopsis of what you're trying to say? Cool. So and then the final one on here is people believe what they want to believe, known as the confirmation bias.
Yep.
So basically, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. People believe what they want to believe, right? So that's one of the harder things about switching people off is they kind of already have, especially if the worst is if you get someone who found the old solution, right? So if like you talk to an old operations manager who's using a competitor and then you come, I love what we currently use, I picked it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be wrong, therefore I can't consider something else.
Right, and it's just like, all products are the same. That's one of the, it's like, that's obviously not true, and then they would be the first one to say that our collection agency is different than your collection agency probably, but when it comes to like looking at an outside service, they just they'll do the confirmation bias. All these are the same. I don't care. All these are the same, right? So and then that leads to problem.
What we call a pissing match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's the other one. You never get into a pissing match
Right.
with someone.
But, yeah, how do you get around confirmation bias?
So, thank you for just throwing me on this. So, the way you get around a confirmation bias is taking their underlying decision. Like, clearly you were right about thinking that you had a need for this, right? So, you were right, and where you are now is great, right? Like, that was the perfect solution for where you were at the time. But now that you've grown and things are going better, it's time to put a little more gasoline on the fire, and that's where a higher end product comes into play.
Right. Okay. Get him 2 wins instead of just 1.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. Hey, great job. You're genius. You did perfect. Let's talk about making you better.
Yeah. All right. Simple enough?
Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching this great episode. Emily worked really hard on it. We loved it. Let us know, your thoughts. How you, if you agree, how do you buy a product, right? How do you answer a sales call? What's your thinking going on behind there? But more importantly than that, keep watching every single week, every single Sunday. See you next week.
Thanks for watching. See ya.